Sarytogan Graphite has the world's highest grade and the world's second largest JORC resource. We're located in Kazakhstan and completed a very positive pre-feasibility study last year. We're well funded with the support of our major shareholder, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and we've got a definitive feasibility study underway. We have achieved strategic project status in the European Union, one of only 13 projects outside of Europe in any industry to achieve that milestone. The definitive feasibility study is well underway and scheduled for completion in mid-next year. Kazakh government is also very supportive with a granted mining lease and a granted environmental permit in place. Now it all starts with the geology, of course, and for our project the geology is a little bit different to many other projects. Our deposit has been formed by contact metamorphism rather than regional metamorphism, and as such our flakes are ultrafine, what we call microcrystalline graphite. Now as it turns out, that's exactly what you need in high technology uses, including many battery applications. The resource is enormous, yet we've come up with a strategy to build as small a concentrator as we can to ease our way into the market. And at that production rate, we have more than 1,000 years of mine life. Here is our cartoon flow sheet and the outcomes from our pre-feasibility study. And what we've identified is a staged development strategy where we can get going for as little as US $62 million with our upstream development, and then gradually work our way downstream, each with chunks of capital of less than $100 million and each making good financial returns. We do thermal purification, which takes us all the way to 99.999% carbon, which opens up some very interesting markets for us. Now here are the facts behind our claims to be the biggest and the best. The grade of our resource is shown on the left-hand slide there. It is the highest grade by far, and it is the second largest. We've completed a pre-feasibility study, and we're rapidly catching up to some of our peers who are more advanced than us. And we're hoping to advance our way to the right-hand side of that chart and increase the valuation of our company. The chart on the right-hand side shows our operating costs and capital costs, again benchmarked against ASX listed peers. We can make our graphite concentrate for US $267 per tonne. Yes, it is a little bit lower grade than many others at 94 to 95% carbon. Our graphite is 90% carbon in this iteration. But that very low cost base and the very fine nature of our product makes it very interesting to customers. Now there is one big red flag on that slide, and that red flag is China. China beats us by about $10, but we've got a genuine claim to being able to compete head to head with China on cost and quality. Now the first family of our products is our concentrate. This is our Micro 90C. It's used in foundries as a recarburizer to line various casting mouldings. We've made cast iron with our product and it's performed very, very well. It's used in wet lubricants and dry lubricants in the drilling industry, and again we've tested that and demonstrated that. It's used in brakes and plastics and rubbers. And those industrial uses aren't particularly sexy, but it is a very useful baseload for our project, and it is a profitable business in its own right without going downstream. But when we go downstream, we open up this very interesting market for our ultra-high purity graphite, 5/9 purity. This is quite unique to Sarytogan. It competes more with some synthetic graphite products, and many other graphite companies sell their fines at 94 to 95 carbon. We've made alkaline batteries with our graphite, and it's performed very well compared to products that trade in the marketplace at $18,000 per tonne. We've made lead acid batteries, they perform very well. We've met the specification for the nuclear industry that requires very low contaminant, especially boron, and we've made synthetic diamonds. The third and final product family is spherical purified graphite for electric vehicle batteries. We've made lithium-ion batteries and they've performed very well. The electric vehicle market is still growing strongly and graphite is doubling over the current decade. So why is there not excitement in graphite stocks that you might expect, or graphite pricing? Well, the reason is that a lot of that demand is being met by synthetic graphite. Now, synthetic graphite requires an enormous amount of energy. You take petroleum coke and you heat it at very high temperatures for a long period of time. Requires more energy, and that means dollars and it means CO2 emissions. And we offer a far more compelling alternative. Very interesting market. There's a lot to be said about geopolitics. I'm sure you've heard a lot today, but suffice to say, graphite is a critical mineral that is dominated by China like no other. For that reason, Kazakhstan and Europe are cooperating on the supply of raw materials, and as I mentioned, we have attained strategic project status with the EU. Kazakhstan is wedged right between the superpowers of China, Russia and Europe. We're facing Europe as our likely customer, and we've made some very good friends in Europe who are very supportive. We love Kazakhstan as a place to operate. Very, very low operating cost jurisdiction. We have US 4 to 5 cent power. We have 50 cent per litre diesel. We have very economical, skilled labour. We've secured a block of land there right next to an enormous electrical substation that gives us all the power we need, and there's also a solar farm there that was funded by EBRD, our major shareholder. We're not the only ones up there in Kazakhstan. We've got plenty of majors up there exploring for copper in particular. Big oil and gas producer they do, and they're also 40% of the world's uranium. Now this slide here, we're doing a little bit of copper exploration as well. In fact, we just completed a drilling program that we're awaiting the results for. But the real rationale for this is that great team of geologists who've done a really fantastic job on the graphite project. They're not expensive to maintain, so we've set them busy on copper exploration. It's a small part of our strategy. However, what this slide also illustrates is Kazakhstan's low cost as a jurisdiction. 4 out of the world's 5 lowest cost copper mines are located in Kazakhstan. That's driven by grade, of course, but also by those input costs I described. Now the definitive feasibility study is well underway. We've collected all of the baseline data, infill drilling, metallurgical test work, pilot milling, pilot variability. We're going forward with pilot purification in January. All of the engineering surveys, water searches, power, all of that work's complete. And later this week I'll be awarding 2 key engineering contracts, one to estimate the capital operating costs and another one to upgrade the resource and reserve. So we're well on track to have that definitive feasibility study in mid next year, and hopefully, if the signs we're seeing at the moment, into a rising market for graphite, finally, after a long wait. Here's our corporate snapshot. Couple of things to note. One is the pie chart there showing our investors. I've brought in some big investors. We've got our founder with 20%. A Kazakh investor just come in. He put in $3.6 million for 20%. EBRD are there for 20%. And there's only 25% available for shareholders to buy on market. So that probably explains why we've had a nice little uplift just over the last 3 or 4 months. Which has been a long time coming, but we really believe is going to be the start of something great in graphite. We're capped at only just under $30 million today. We're well funded with recent capital raises, and we're kicking on with our DFS on track for mid-year. ASX SGA. Thank you.